Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 5. This is our extended review. Last night we got a little bit of reactions. We had a good time with that. Tonight we're going to break it down a little bit further. Got a couple announcements I have to make before we get started. Do want to give a super special shout out to all the Patreons, the Patreon army up there. Thank you so much. You guys are absolutely amazing. Appreciate everything that you guys do. And I am going to make a super fan announcement because I did see we have Mitch True Puddin'. We can't put up the Puddin' Pop, but what an excellent super fan you were last month. If you guys missed our super fan announcements, this happened a few months ago where we put up on the Facebook fan page. Everybody voted for him. Our first super fan was Will the Bill. Then we had June Smith. Last month was Mitch Puddin'. And this month, because we had a tie when we did the initial voting, there was a tie between Valar and Lisa Khaleesi. So you'll notice there are two brand new emojis up there. Some people are asking, what is it? That is the faceless coin, the Valar Morghulis. All men will die. That's kind of her motto, her mantra. And then, of course, Lisa Khaleesi, Mandy as well, too. So we got two really good super fans. So they will represent quite well for the next 30 days, and then we'll move on to the next one. Thanks so much for you guys putting all those up there. E-Beach, what's going on with Kirkman? Well, the rumor is that they're shutting down the comics. So that's the rumor. It's not confirmed yet. People are talking about it's going to leak, but the rumor is that this issue of the comics is going to be way post Rick Grimes. So we'll wait and see if that goes down, and your guess is as good as mine. I know it will. If they do shut down the comics, it would give me a chance to catch up eventually in a couple of months. But and look, I know many of you that's going to destroy because you love reading the comics. I read them to kind of catch up, and I'm more into the TV show and that Walking Dead universe. I do appreciate the comics, but we'll see. We'll see how it all goes down. But looking forward to that announcement. All right, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit of fear. So last night, I had asked several people. The ratings were all over the board. Some people 9, 9.5. There were a few people rated a little bit lower. And in thinking about last night's episode, there were some things that I think, look, it might not have appealed to everybody. These bridge episodes or these episodes where it focuses on one person. I know sometimes I read a few of the comments. Some people, why couldn't they tie it into the rest of the story? Because there's so much detail, and it's almost like in some cases you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And I think people wanted answers, and last night there was a whole lot of answers. But now they want answers, and they want it in the regular storyline. So there was some romance, and there were mixed emotions with the romance. But I got to thinking about it a little bit last night, and how in a short period of time this bond just formed. There were some really cool moments, and it shows how there's a lot of articles out there with the producers about love and relationships. This was the definition of a zombie apocalypse one night stand, and not in a tacky way. It was two people that just formed this bond really quickly, and as quick as it started, it was over. So think about the dynamic. Here they are, and Isabelle's mission is to recover the tape and to kill Althea. And right up to the point, you think that's going to happen. But where did you see the trust factor really kick in with Isabelle and Althea last night? There was a moment, and it really jumped out. They might kill. Maybe they meet again. But if they meet again, might not be as good as circumstances. Maybe she's got to carry through with operational security next time. So there was the rock climbing, but there was such a key phrase to that, because when you fall for someone, think about that and think about the irony and what that meant. I fall, you fall. I fall, you fall. And that was said multiple times, and you could see that trust kind of building up. whether it was, an innuendo or, hey, there's a trust there, and then it just kind of continued beyond that. But I just thought they hinted at that so well. And then once they get up there, you could see, if it weren't for those moments, if it weren't for that trust, if it weren't for that kiss, Althea would have been dead. That small little bit of emotion is what kept it going. I'm not going to get on my super pedestal tonight about long drawn out relationships and how relevant they are, but this was not. It was meaningful. It was to the point. It saved one person's life, and I thought the beauty of that relationship, and it was perfect. Go back and watch the episode. It's when they're walking out, and Isabelle goes hard left, and Althea goes hard right. They could not have timed their steps any more. It could not have been any better synchronized. It was like two synchronized swimmers. Beautiful, the way that it all started, it was shared, and then it ended abruptly. I mean, right angle, abruptly. So those of you that scored it last night, I don't know, maybe you're just in there and you were just like, hey, I want some adventure and I want some action, and you didn't drill down to all the little things, but I think that was part of the little things, and I think that was very, very relevant. Now, with that being said, it also, to me, it meant a little bit more. And it's not just because I have a bet on it, but the more I see these relationships carry on, the more I'm afraid of the connection in the relationship. Because you can have these many moments, and look, they don't have to be romance. They can be, friendship moments, or they can be old, young, male, female, male, whatever. It's these bonding moments. This one happened to be more romantic, but I think The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead is very well served by not having the antagonizingly long relationships. So, just with that being said, I don't see John and June in a long-term relationship. I'm not saying wholeheartedly that one will necessarily die. Yes, you've heard that. I will say it again. I'm not claiming victory because of it, but if this relationship weakens them in some manner, I think the dynamic of the relationship changes. Now, it would be easy to kill one of them in my mind. Either one accomplishes the same thing. But if there's a weakness or a risk, I could see June leaving again, something along those lines. But I think the easiest way is that one of them will actually leave in the worst possible way. And Angel definitely showed a vulnerability side of Althea. Well, showed a vulnerability side of Isabelle as well. They both have this mission. They're very much alike. They got a job to do. Althea has not given up her job as a journalist. She believes in that job, and she's willing to die for it. But Kel said something that's interesting a little bit ago. That they may meet again. Now, there's two problems here with Isabelle not finishing the job. So tell me what you think the potential problems could be from her deviating from operational security. I know some people loved it. They're like, hey, it shows that human side and that passion, and she's willing to do the right thing in this moment. Let her go find her friends. But there's two big risks. One, she left Al alive, and if Al talks, and this becomes a big deal, all of her friends are in jeopardy. That's number one. And number two, you're right, Gina. If we don't see Isabelle again until the movie, and this group finds out that she let somebody walk, that she didn't finish the job, then Isabelle's a goner. But there's a number three. How many people think that there's a little bit more to it? Maybe a little bit more of who's on that tape. And that Isabelle in the movie might be that resistance that we talked about. So it is starting to piece itself together a little bit. I didn't want to, we're going to extend and do the review of last night. But anytime from this point that we talk about Fear the Walking Dead, and there's a helicopter, or there's this CRM group, or anything along those lines, we just naturally get into the Rick Grimes movie. So a few weeks back, and show of hands, or you guys hit the like button if you remember the conversation, but there was a good portion of our audience that said, well, Rick is going to be a leader. Rick is going to take over. You guys remember that group? Could have been some of you. And I didn't disagree, but the one pushback that I had with that was, Rick is not going to moonwalk in there and say, hey, I'm Rick freaking Grimes, and now everybody's going to bow down and I'm the king. Even though some people said it would happen like that. No. What we started to talk about is discontent and disagreement and maybe not the way of doing things. And that could be over many years. So first of all, and Wilson, I don't think Rick can escape. Because I think Rick's struggle is, if you leave, we will kill your family. We'll kill everybody you've ever known. That's going to keep him grounded. He's going to he knows they have helicopters. He knows they have guns. He knows what their capabilities are. He might not like the way they're doing things, but he can't do anything about it yet. So Rick is he's stuck, right? He's trapped. Can't go out, can't do anything. But if enough people that's the key word, Viola. So I don't think it's amnesia. I don't think he's not going to remember. I think he's going to know exactly what he has to do, and they're going to use him to take care of certain missions or take care of certain things. I don't see a whole Rick Grimes movie of him just being chained up and being beaten and a prisoner. That's one case. But Rick is going to need help. So, Heath, another person. Now you've got Isabelle. And now that we've got a connection to Isabelle, she could be the link that could start to give him information or start to help him, just like she spared Althea. And I don't think it's coincidental that we saw mercy. I think Rick's going to need, maybe not mercy, but he's going to need assistance. And if he starts to build that coalition from the inside, of course Rick Grimes is going to be a leader. I'm not going to disagree with you guys. But it's not going to happen, voila, he's there and we don't get a backstory. But at the same time, I don't think that we're going to get a long, drawn-out backstory. The other thing that everybody has to remember here, has anyone here ever been punctured through the side with a 2-foot stick of rebar? No. Okay, I didn't think so. So I get it. I know on the TV show and I know in movies, people get shot, Rick has been shot by Jadis, and they instant heal, right? This is not an instant heal type of situation. This is a serious injury. So certainly I wouldn't mind seeing a time skip of him healing up and being taken care of. It's going to be one of those things though, right? Whoever does the surgery on him, whoever helps him, you know what they're going to say. Oh boy, you were lucky. Another inch to the right, and that would have taken out your spine, and you'd never be... Isn't that what happens like on all these situations? It's always like another inch to the right, and you would have been gone. They never tell you like, nope, it hit perfectly, an inch to the left, and you would have lived. It's always another inch to the right. So, Rick is tough, no doubt about it. But he's coming into the situation at a disadvantage from a health standpoint, from a control standpoint as well. And now that I've seen Isabelle, I get it. I get that some people on the inside are going to be aligned. Some people are not going to believe in it. Very, very much like the Whispers. Alpha is the alpha, but occasionally people don't like the direction. Alpha has walkers. These people, I'm sure they got like rocket launchers and missiles and anything. I mean, they're the future. They got teams for crying out loud. Keep things under control. They have reclamation projects. I mean, there's some bad dudes, but they're still human. And as Drama King has famously said, check the tapes. With all this time that's passed, this group has been together for a year. Why have we not watched these tapes? I mean, I get it. Maybe the bog, that might have been personal to Al. But we definitely should have been digging in a little bit deeper to find out who all these people are, who the connections are. So some of the big questions we had last night. What's going to happen with Al? Who is this group? We still have the question of what's the deal with these kids? We know what happened to their parents. Who's this other group that has all this radioactive activity going on? And then we got Logan. So, there's still good things that are going to happen. But I don't know about you guys, but after watching last night's episode, I felt really good about the movie. And that's why I was a little surprised at some of the lower scores from last night's episode. Some people were like, nah, it's a 4, it's a 5. Because I felt set up perfectly for the movie. It started making sense. June Smith, I think he's going to be like a soldier. Brainwashed, going to be a different Rick. They messed with his memory. Well, June, they're going to have to hypnotize him, teach him how to shoot. That's his deal. But to a degree, and I don't know if you guys remember, and I wasn't being facetious. I was being completely serious. Rick Grimes in the zombie apocalypse, it's just been, he hasn't had the ammo, and it's been, hold that python with one hand, and girl, and usually when he's shooting at things, he's either injured or surrounded or something. No training, right? It's just kind of, one eye kind of cocked to the side, and in the, what they call that, recoil, when a gun kicks back like that. So I was not joking at all. Rick has been taken by a group Rick is hurt. Rick cannot escape because they're going to go kill his family. And now they can train Rick. You guys thought I was going to say train wreck. But he won't be a train wreck. He can practice. Seriously. I think that is a very, very valid storyline, that he is going to become more like a soldier. So they don't have to have him miss every time he shoots at somebody. But he's their soldier. And they're not going to want to let him go. And would you guys agree that freeing Rick would be twice as potentially harmful to the CRW than freeing up Heath? Imagine you train Heath, you train Rick, and you have a choice between letting them both go. With Rick's charisma and his leadership skill, if they train Rick and let him go, he's the type of person that could form a group. He's the type of person something could come back on you. So, Wilson said it a little bit ago. There's multiple reasons why he doesn't escape. All right? I can give you several of them. One, if he escaped, it wouldn't have taken him 7 years to get back. So something has kept him grounded. And I'm telling you, it's RJ and it's Judith. He stayed for his kids. He's serving with these people for his kids. And the fact that we know Michonne's leaving. So if Rick escaped, there would be no reason for her to leave. So, there's real life actor situations that makes him escaping not realistic. There's storylines from The Walking Dead, which makes him escaping unrealistic. And then there's the trilogy, which doesn't make any sense for him to escape either. Now, I'm sorry to bring this up, but I do think Rick Grimes might die in the third movie. I don't think he has eternity to live. I'm not ready to give that the bold prediction, but look, as fans, we shouldn't just sit back and say, he's got 10 movies. If they can kill him in the comics, they can kill him in the Walking Dead unit. No, I'm not ready to make it a bold prediction yet. But this is what I'm saying. Is we get to see Rick's rise back to power. We get to see him potentially die for a purpose, if that's what they do. But I don't think, I will make this bold prediction. He doesn't die without seeing his son. RJ becomes the future of The Walking Dead. Not Carl Grimes. I think this has been set up to where RJ could go back, in a future series. RJ gets to meet his dad. Rick has already been injured. Rick can learn to fight. Rick probably dies in one of the movies. RJ becomes the future of the franchise. Thoughts and comments? I'm not asking for it to be popular. And I'm not saying it happens on the third one. Maybe they do 3, and then they decide to do a couple more. It happens in the 5th one. But I just don't think he has, carte blanche just to live forever. I think at some point he meets his son and possibly dies saving RJ. Well, Julia, you're typing no desire for RJ to be the future. Why not? We don't know what a future RJ is like. We don't know what his personality is like. I mean, he's a kid. Which they won't, but hey, why not get The Rock to come back and play RJ? Well, a teenage RJ is going to be a lot different than a little kid RJ. So we don't know the impact until, I will say this. I think if you go through the journey of Michonne and RJ, and we're just hoping that they get a chance to meet, and that happens, and then the mantles pass from Rick to RJ, I certainly think a lot of people would warm up. And AJ brings up a good point. I think it depends on how Michonne exits, but I don't think there's any way under the sun Michonne dies. There's way too many open-ended situations if Michonne dies. Okay, if Michonne dies, she never gets to see Rick again. That would destroy the Walking Dead universe. If Michonne dies, RJ probably doesn't get to see Rick again. Unless Maggie takes him or Negan takes him or something happens. I don't think that's a possible scenario. There's only one way I see this playing out. Michonne gets a map. She gets word. More than likely it's going to be delivered from Maggie. She gets some intel that Rick's alive, and her and RJ bolt. E-Beach. From info provided, we know the basic story arc yet. I feel like we've got a good concept of what's going to go down. They can't change it too much because, we know what we see, right, Eric? We know Rick is injured. We know this group is on fear. We know that they're the future. Jason Mixologist, I think Rick knows the greatest way to know his enemies is to be like them. He's going to study their ways, their resources, and when the time is right, he'll make his move. Very true, Jason. But he's still got to have allies. If this CRM group is as big and is the future, there's got to be a lot of people he comes in contact with. He's going to be like that inmate that, starts making friends from the inside. June Smith, this story will end one day. So sad. So, I would ask, we did a video 3 weeks ago. And it was the Rick Grimes movie. We talked about it. And a lot of these predictions that we made are starting to make a little bit of sense. Rick learning to shoot, not coincidence. Rick going out on some missions with some other people. Meeting some friends. Maybe Rick becomes a squad leader. Hey, this guy's tough. This guy survived this. Let's take him on a few missions. They keep an eye on him. But they let him go out, do some things. Do some stuff and do some things. Build up his credibility. But always with that threat of, I could even see, him and Heath having some words like, hey, Rick, let's bust out of here. No, we know too much. They're going to kill Michonne. I could see that as normal banter back and forth or dialogue. Rick knowing that he's enlisted. He's an enlisted member, and this group will destroy your life and everything you care about. Now, What is it that Rick does not know about? See, that's the important thing. The whispers, right? Rick has no idea. When he left, they were in a good spot. He had an idea about RJ. The whispers. The whispers are what concerns me the most. If he knew about the whispers, he probably would say, hey, let's get one of those helicopters. Let's go take care of what we need to take care of. So he thought he died, or, not died. He thought he did the right thing, blew up the bridge. Communities will come together. Michonne will be okay. She's got Maggie at the time. She's got Daryl. She's got Ezekiel. She's got Carol. She's got good network around her. They had no idea what's going on. And that type of knowledge would be something that you might be willing to risk your life for. But because he doesn't know about that, he thinks his family's growing up and they started everything over. Not even so much as a helicopter. Think about that. So why have we not seen a single helicopter flying back to Alexandria in 7 years to get another A or to get another B? You got to do a little bit of forward thinking here. I mean, it was a big question, right? Because Rick has leverage and they have leverage. You leave my people alone. I'll do whatever you say. I'll be here. I'll help your group. Leave my family alone. They didn't send anybody back. Rick, at this point, over 7 years, Rick has probably gained some status. This is kind of back to my point that he's not being tortured all these years. He's building his way up through the ranks a little bit, kind of like Jason Daly said a little bit ago. Maybe in the beginning, they squeeze him a little bit, but they fix him. But we won't go back. We won't touch any of your family, but you need to help us with our mission. And I think that's what was so good about last night's episode. I'm going to add a little bit more of extended review from last night. Love the Walker Avalanche. Anytime they have natural disasters using walkers in Fear the Walking Dead, I'm a fan. I thought that was great. The rock climbing, I liked it for several reasons. And last night, that was the thing that really bummed a few people out. They said, the rock climbing was cheesy. It was long, it was drawn out. What the rock climbing showed me, the tent tree house was good, is something happened with the helicopter where they didn't properly plan for fuel. We can speculate whatever we want. Maybe they had another stop. Maybe this was a diversion because the plane crashed. Whatever. This helicopter had to go where it wasn't supposed to go. So all these things led up to it. But then we also found out that she had to kill her friend. So there was a story there. So when they did the rock climbing, June, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say, for me it wasn't intense. It was a little slow for me. It wasn't like, oh my God. anytime there's a rock climbing scene, somebody's falling. And they're always latched on. But let me give you some what I thought to be great points just from that scene alone. All right. We find out I fall, you fall. So there's a trust mechanism there. We find out that the guy was actually a coworker, partner of Isabelle. And what about, if you want to use the leap of faith, how about Althea having to attach her line to the dead guy's line? Just that lunge just to make that happen. And if that man would not have hammered that in well enough, I mean, obviously, it's been hanging there for a while, so you assume it's okay. But still, she had to use the other line in order to get up. And then we got to share a beer. And then once they're up there and everything seems cool, we find out it's a fuel drop. And then the big news is part of the mission is for a person to die. So, I don't know. I saw a lot of value in the rock climbing scene. I know it was something a little bit different. We haven't seen that before in The Walking Dead. And it really starts with the avalanche. We get the avalanche, and then we find out where it comes from, so on and so forth. And how cool was it? of all the things that fear The Walking Dead, okay, how many, I'm going to give a kills coin to the first person. I bring this up every couple weeks. They do this. I call it Fear the Walking Dead coincidence. So I'm going to give a kills coin to the first person that can pick the most off-the-wall coincidental thing that happened in last night's episode that I'm thinking of. We got to agree on it. But they do it. It was kind of like the Charlie scene of Charlie was going to die, and then the Walker. Not the shooting star. And Hayden got it. So Hayden W. is going to get a kills coin. It was they get out of the car, and then an avalanche hits the car. I mean, it's like that commercial. Have you guys seen the commercial, the guy in the convertible? And he pulls up and gets out of his car and hits the alarm, and then they're pouring cement, and it drops down. Of all the places to park, I absolutely loved it. I love when they do that on Fear the Walking Dead. And it's that humor element that they just keep adding every so often. And see, Marvelous One, that's exactly my point. Where Marvelous One says, I saw that coming from a mile away, so predictable. That's exactly what they do, and it's meant to be funny. It's meant to, you're in all these intense situations. There's a clear difference between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. In The Walking Dead, the comic relief we got, look, Alpha's not going to crack a joke. Beta's not going to crack a joke. It's Eugene now. Father G will give you something every once in a while. But it used to be Abraham. It was Abraham's one-liners. And in Fear the Walking Dead, everybody's got kind of like this dry sense of humor that the way they kind of get the audience to sort of react is these weird things that happen. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And it was part of that leading up to the rock climbing scene as well. Father, not the father. Exactly. I can't wait for The Walking Dead. I'm ready for some Negan. So we're going to wind down shortly. Kills, do you think Rick comes home at the end? No, I think Rick dies, Eric. I think The Walking Dead is going to fast forward. We love these characters. But if they do too many time skips, I mean, every character on The Walking Dead is going to have some age to them. We're going to need more like the RJs and the Judiths and the Magnas and the Yumikos. I don't think he's coming back. I do think Michonne will see him, though. I think Michonne sees him. I think he meets RJ. And, I hope they give him more than 3 movies. I'm not advocating The Walking Dead should end anytime soon. I think it's got another 10 seasons. But I just don't know that Rick's going to be a long-term part of it. I think they've already started conditioning us for that anyway. And one last question I have for the group, and we're going to wind it down. So we've talked about it. We did the reactions. We're breaking down the extended review. So thinking back on it, how many people watched the episode more than once? Show of hands. Anybody watch it more than one time? There's some guilty people in here. All right. And one last score. So from a 1 to a 10, last night's episode, let me see. And if you watched it more than one time and you give it under an 8, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. Why would you watch something over and over again that you don't like? So I hope we see some high scores in there. Give me some 10s. There we go. My favorite is going to be, I've watched it 4 times. Well, what'd you give the episode? A 5? Really? You need some other hobbies. If you watch something over and over again that you think sucks, why would you do that to yourself? All right. Good stuff. We're going to wind this thing down. We have Random Things tomorrow night. So hopefully you guys will all be here. That is going to be our last episode of Random Things for probably a month. We usually do 4 shows of Random Things, and then we skip a month. We've had a lot of fun the last couple times. We do some rhyme time. We do some kills connections. So we are certainly going to mix it up, and we're going to wind down the greatest duets of all time. There will be a Walking Dead topic mixed in with that as well. So after tomorrow night, we will be taking a few days off. So we will post a schedule when we'll be back live. If there's any possibility we can do Wednesday, I will. I would love to do a Wednesday night stream, but it's more than likely Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we'll be back on Sunday. So tune in tomorrow night, and we'll have a 100% decision on that. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Love the insight. Love how we funnel it down. We're actually funneling it, and we're building blocks because we keep referring to some of these streams that we had, and you guys can see the way Walking Dead I don't think is going to have a lot of, there's 7 years in the future. But we do know that Michonne's leaving, so we'll get a little bit of the Rick Grimes movie with that. We're still hopeful that we'll get some more clues in Fear the Walking Dead. And then next year, we're going to have a Walking Dead movie. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for everything that you guys do. Give this video a thumbs up before you leave. Special shout out to all the patrons, top left-hand corner. The green team, thanks so much for all the members here. The moderators do an excellent job. Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells. All the super chatters, thank you so much for everything that you guys do. And a big super shout out to the 999 Army. And I will see each and every one of you tomorrow night at 9:30. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.